If you got $750,000 burn a hole in your pocket with no idea how to spend it, I've got ideas for you. Let's get into it. Hey guys, how you doing? Werenka here. I'm the state of Michigan broker for Simply Home. We're the fastest growing real estate company in the United States, and I've got an all-star team. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. We even do property management now. So it is absolutely no surprise right now that older Americans are kind of driving the real estate bus right now. The average first-time home buyer is now 40 years old, and the average just home buyer in general is now 65. So there's a recent trend that's developed in real estate across the country, but here in the Metro Detroit area as well, for older home buyers and how they are using the equity that they've accrued over the years in their homes. And it's got a couple names. Some people are calling it the silver tsunami. I prefer the great real estate reshuffling. And the way that is materializing across Metro Detroit is not so much that people are selling their homes and leaving the area. It's more lateral moves, right sizing, things like that. As the first wave of boomers is turning 80 this year, I guess that makes my dad not a boomer. Hey dad, how you doing? That's pretty impressive. We're going to talk a little bit about how people are starting to cash out of the $700,000 family home that they've lived in for 30 plus years. And instead of just like totally downsizing, the current trend is they're paying cash for homes more in like the $450,000 to $500,000 range, luxury condos, ranches, things like that, and then pocketing the rest. Pretty good work if you can get it, if you ask me. And then the beauty of this method is that interest rates are irrelevant. It doesn't matter if they're 2% or 10% because you're paying cash. And then it has a side effect of just injecting liquidity into the market because people are paying all cash for these properties. You don't have to finance anything, which isn't great for the mortgage companies, but whatever. And as a result, now you've got, $250,000, $300,000 left over. You can live off it. You can reinvest. You can buy rental properties. There's so many different ways that you can make that money work for you. And at the same time, you made more of a lateral move than anything. You maybe into a smaller home, but it's not by any means anything that isn't luxurious and wonderful to live in. And then another side effect of this happening is there's a $2.4 trillion injection into the economy, nationwide, obviously not just Michigan. And that's for people who are cashing out and then helping their, Gen X or millennial children and grandchildren afford homes in like smaller inner ring suburbs, Royal Oak, Ferndale, Hazel Park, those areas, which has the net effect of helping home buying become more affordable for that younger generation, which currently is, we've been talking about this a lot. There's definitely programs out there to help make homes more affordable. Doesn't really do anything for the price. And we're still right now, like currently right now in beginning of March, we are still scraping the bottom of the barrel for inventory. That's going to change very, very soon. Just like in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see much more inventory hitting the market. But as of right now, there's really not that much out there. What that does is that, again, it allows, younger buyers to be able to afford their home. It gives older home buyers the flexibility to cash out of their home right that they've been living in and, right size into something that's still very nice, but maybe not quite as large. And then at the same time, it frees up those higher end homes for people who are ready to move up and just haven't, been able to or haven't found on the right property just because there's so few on the market right now. So we're kind of eliminating three problems in one. And then as a result of this, this has been not anything brand new. This has been going on for a while. And what you're seeing now more and more, I'd say over like the last 10 years, it's really become more of a trend, is homes that have either dual primary suites or a primary suite that's on the ground floor, even if that property is a split level or a colonial. And then those, higher end ranches that are nicely updated, there's definitely a premium on those because there are so many buyers who are looking for that specific type of property now. Another trend that I've, been fortunate enough to work with many buyers who've been doing this. Ferndale is like one of those areas that's very attractive to urbanite seniors, I guess would be like the correct term for it. And that's the trend of, people who are cashing out of their larger, more expensive homes in less walkable areas of the Detroit metro area. Think Macomb Township, Rochester Hills doesn't really lend itself to, just walking downtown for a coffee or whatever. But Ferndale certainly does. Royal Oak, Berkeley, Clawson, you name it. Those areas with, kind of in the inner ring-ish suburbs around Metro Detroit are really, really hot spots for people who want more of that, walkable downtown feel. In the past, where people might have like sold their home and moved to Florida or Arizona, things like that, the current trend seems to be, and there's certainly plenty of people doing that, but there's definitely a larger and growing subset of that age group that is staying local, staying closer to family, and just getting that more of a lifestyle that they're looking for, as opposed to, staying in the further out suburbs, larger homes. And then what we're even seeing within those higher end areas, maybe somebody's lived in Northville their whole life and had the huge house in Northville, but they want to stay in Northville, but don't want the, 3,500 square foot house anymore. People are moving closer to the village center, smaller homes again, but that keeps them in the area that they want to be in the city. So they're not even leaving the city. They're just like exchanging that larger house for a smaller one in the same area so they can continue to benefit from the amenities that that specific area offers. So while all this is great for the people who are selling the homes, downsizing, things like that, there is something to be very cognizant of if you're one of the people who are moving up into those homes, and that has to do with property taxes. The way that it works in Michigan is, you got the state equalized value and then you have the taxable value. When you first buy that house, those numbers are going to be exactly the same, but the state equalized value will move up and down, hopefully just up, with the property values in the area. And the taxable value does sort of fluctuates the same way, but it's limited. It's capped. So the taxable value can only increase at 5% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less per year. So what you end up with is the longer somebody's lived in a home, they continue to pay like a lower tax rate on that home, even though the value of the home continues to increase. And the longer they live in the home, the bigger that disparity is, until that home sells and the taxes uncap again. For example, it's not uncommon for somebody to sell their home in, call it Macomb Township, and maybe they've been paying $5,000 a year in taxes. So when they sell that home to the new buyer and those taxes uncap, and maybe they've been living in that home 20 or 30 years. So instead of $5,000 that had been, being paid per year, maybe that jumps up to $9,000. So that's something you definitely need to be aware of and be ready for and budget for, because that is not a pleasant surprise to get. I would say this is probably the biggest, friction point, if you will, of this whole thing that's going on with people right sizing and downsizing their homes. So if you're being represented by someone other than yours truly, that's a question that you're going to want to ask for sure. Essentially, luckily you're smart and you're watching this video, so you're good to go there. But the principal and interest is going to stay the same no matter what. Like once you're locked in, assuming you're if you're buying a house on a mortgage and you're in a conventional 30-year fixed rate or whatever, or 15-year, that part's not going to change. It's the taxes that can really impact your monthly payment. But as this trend develops, and I don't really see it slowing down, because there's just more and more people that are aging into that age group where downsizing and right sizing is the right fit for them. We're going to see more of that as we move forward over the next several years. And I'm pretty positive what we're going to see is strategies developed to help people take advantage of both the right sizing and moving into the new, the upsizing into that new property. The taxes are definitely gonna be a factor there. But we're gonna see, there are people smarter than me will figure things out, and I'll just watch what they do, copy it, and report back to you guys. But the long and short of it is there's definitely, an era of, relative scarcity in terms of just the homes on the market, homes that are available. Like new construction is not being built at the rate that it needs to by a lot. So housing shortages is probably going to be a more and more of a topic that I talk about. I mean, I talk about this almost every morning on when I'm doing short videos and stuff. But I talk about it for a reason, because we have to come up with some kind of a solution. But the fact that we do have some equity that's being unlocked and like finding its way down to the younger generations is definitely something that's going to be beneficial for them. And if you're still hanging around at this point, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. The algorithm loves that. I definitely appreciate it. And let me know what you want me to talk about next week, because that's what I'm here for. I'm relatively obsessed with just bringing as much value as I possibly can to my clients and to you guys, the general public. So if there's ever any questions I can answer for you, let me know. Almost any topic in local real estate, I can give expert advice on. Happy to do it anytime. So as always, guys, if there is anything you need ever, you can always reach out, call or text anytime. Direct line is 586-491-5622. My email is derekwerenka@simplyhome.com. I'm on all the socials, so shoot me a DM. I'll respond quick. And until next week, thank you so much, guys. I truly appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.